So they showed my video already, I take it? Should have been here for it. It's a long way to get over here from where I was sitting. Holy smokes. How you guys doing? Good. Glad you're here. I'd rather just go straight to the questions right away. If you guys got something you want to shout out at me, because trust me, I will talk. So, I'm not afraid of doing that. So it's, whatever you guys want to ask, feel free. So just throw up a hand and there we go. Go for it. He asked if I prefer sci-fi or fantasy. Depends. Or something else, yes. It really depends on the script. I like to work. I like to stay busy. I got a manager who tells me I'm doing too much. He goes, "Oh, you're working too much." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm working too much? What does that mean?" To me, I'd rather be working. If I like a script, I probably get 4 or 5 scripts a week sent to me from different areas, different places, not just out of LA. And I give them 20 pages. If they don't hold my interest after 20 pages, then I just kind of say not interested. But this year's been busy. I've already shot about like 6 movies this year. I shot 2 of them up here. I did. I did parts 1, 2, and 3 of Mythica. I know some of you guys know of that already. And I don't know when and where it's coming out. The trailer looks pretty cool. So we'll see what happens with that. But I finished a movie in Nashville called The Secret Handshake, which we're hoping gets out in theaters this year. It's a family comedy written by Howie Klausner. You may not know his name, but he had a really wonderful script that he almost won an Academy Award for called Space Cowboys with Clint Eastwood and Tommy Lee Jones and the late James Garner, who a dear friend of mine, God rest his soul. James was a golf buddy of mine. And I have a script that I really wanted to do with him, but that's not going to happen. But just staying busy. I got 2 more movies coming up that I'm filming. One's going to be in Chicago, the other's in Michigan. And I just sold a series to the Hallmark Channel. So hopefully I'm back on TV again on a regular basis. It's not really a con type of TV series, but it's called Can't Get Arrested, and it's a drama, comedy, action thing, sort of in the vein of Moonlighting for you older people like me that remember Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. So it's in that vein, and it's a very, very funny script, and I'm exec producer on it along with the guys that I did a little movie called Soul Surfer with. And so I'm looking forward to that as well. But, we'll see. We shoot that pilot up in Vancouver, British Columbia in January. And if you guys watch it in March, and get a lot of people to watch it in March, it will become a TV series. So that's how that works. See, I told you. You asked one simple question, I answered for 5 minutes. It was ridiculous. All right. Yes, right here.
Actually, if you have a question, we have a microphone here and one right over there. That way everybody can hear you.
Yeah, we got microphones on each side, so come on up.
Each side, so come on up. Make a line.
And then that way people can hear what you ask me.
If you have a question, go ahead and start forming lines.
I heard a story years ago about how you got the part for Hercules. And I wanted to find out if it was true.
You mean I slept with everybody in the Universal Studios?
No, that's not the story I heard.
No, it's not.
I heard they asked you to shave your chest, and you told them that, I thought you wanted the man.
I'll give the story. So Hercules, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, because some of you people know this, some of you do not. I originally got the part on Lois and Clark. It got down to Dean Cain and myself for that role. And I did my final screen test with Terry Hatcher at Lorimar Studios, which doesn't exist anymore, but it's part of Warner Brothers. Other people that put out Friends before that was disbanded. But I got the part, celebrated, excited, big network show. The next morning they called me up and they said they changed their mind, they're going with Dean Cain. Welcome to Hollywood. The serious highs and the serious lows of being an actor in Hollywood. I think that's why I live so close to Gold's Gym and biked every day 50 miles just to run, so I didn't hurt anybody. I would just get my aggressions out that way. And a couple months later, I got the audition for Hercules. And I went in and I read, and eventually I kind of went, oh, come on guys, they're gonna want some, big steroid, 290-pound dude with no neck. You know, and they said, no, just go read. And they sent me the script, and I thought, this is actually pretty funny. It's pretty good. I read, thought I did a good job, left. Week and a half later, they called me back in. I said, okay. Different group of guys, read again, walked out. 2 weeks goes by, they call me in again. Read again. 2 weeks goes by, they call me in again. Never changing the sides, the script that they wanted me to read. It was all, and every time I walk in, I said, okay, what do you guys want to see? No, we like what you're doing. Okay, you've got it on tape 4 times already. So, read again, left, call me in again. 7 times they called me in to read for the part. They looked at over 2,800 actors in North America for the role. The last time I went in, the 7th time, they had everybody from Universal there. All the suits were in there. Men and women, it's mostly men, but there were women in all these producers, the people the suits that make the decision of what you get to see. And probably about 20 people in the room. And you stand there, it's all sort of intimidating, because you walk in a room, it's usually a blank thing behind you, and they're just in chairs staring at you, kind of like what you guys are doing now. And so, I read again, and then they said Sam Raimi was in there. Sam Raimi was our exec producer, along with Rob Tapper. That's the time with Bruce Campbell. If you guys don't know, those are the 3 guys that came up from Michigan together and did Evil Dead for like $7, and it made $8 million. So one of the women, she was very nervous, and she says, "Would you mind if you took your shirt off?" And I said, "Sure." So I took my shirt off. And I was really in good shape, as you guys might remember back then. And it was kind of like from the women, they went, oh. And so I went with it, and I said, I'm a lot bigger out of my clothes. And then Sam Raimi said, because I'm not overly hairy, but I have a man growth on there, and stomach and chest. And Sam Raimi says, would you mind shaving if you get the role? I said, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted a man for this role. And I started walking out of the room. It got a big laugh from him. And then about 2 weeks later, I was up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I was shooting a guest spot on The Commish with Michael Chiklis. And I got the call on my birthday that I got the role of Hercules. Aww. So that was a pretty good birthday present. And I remember walking in on the set. I walked back to the set to do my next scene with Michael. And I said, Chiklis, I don't want any crap from you. I'm half God now. So that's what happened there. That was kind of cool. I'm going to pop over here now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. I wanted to know more about Andromeda, how your interaction possibly with Gene Roddenberry, one of the most influential science fiction creators, was, and how his death affected you, the show.
Well, Gene died way before I got the show.
So you didn't have a reaction?
Half God. Now we lost yours though. No, Gene passed away, the people in 91 or 92? It was a while ago. So it was before I even started Hercules. I was finishing my 7th season on Hercules down in New Zealand, and Universal was in negotiations to do seasons 8, 9, and 10 with me. And I got a call direct from Majel Roddenberry, which I thought, Nurse Chapel. She had the torpedo boobs, remember that? And I was a little kid, even in reruns, I was a little kid, but I noticed Nurse Chapel. And we talked for a long time. She said, my husband wrote this show back in 1969 when Star Trek was finished, because NBC and Paramount, in their infinite wisdom, thought that Star Trek was a failure. And canceled it after 3 seasons. So I was a big Star Trek fan, probably because of my older brothers, but I remember even through high school and college watching reruns all the time. I've probably seen every episode of Star Trek, the original series, 30, 40 times. And I agree, it's a great show. And she sent me actually 2 different scripts that Gene had wrote back in '69. And one was called Andromeda, and the other was called The Phoenix Ascendant. And I said, you know what, I I like both of these scripts. Can we take the best ideas from both these scripts and put them together in one show? And she said, not a problem. And so they came to me. The offer actually was too good to refuse. They gave me a 2-year guarantee on the series before they even cast the other 6 actors. I was made exec producer on the show. I got final say on casting. I got final say on edit. They gave me a lot of things that I said, next time I do a series, I'm going to get a little more control, just because my ego wanted it. So, and that's why I left Hercules after 7 years. I just thought it was time to do something different. And it was a 5-year show. It would have gone for 7 years. Unfortunately, the Tribune Company went bankrupt. And we were like, the 3 shows that they had were the only things making money for them. There was Andromeda, there was Beastmaster, and then there was Mutant X, or something like that. But everything else they were losing money on, so they went into bankruptcy, which is really a drag, because Stargate never beat us in the ratings in all 5 of our years. So I make sure I let Michael Shanks know that every time I see him. Since he married my ship Andromeda Lexadoi, I got something out of it. But yeah, that's how that show started and ended, unfortunately, that way. Hi.
Hi.
You should have dressed up.
Oh, thank you. You played a really good atheist in God's Not Dead, and seeing how much of a Christian you are, I was wondering how difficult it was for you to actually get into that part and make it as good as it was.
I don't know if you guys saw God's Not Dead, but those who did, thank you. I gotta brag a little bit, it's the most successful movie, dollar for dollar, this year in Hollywood. We shot it for $2 million. They had no advertising promotional budget, and it's made $85 million worldwide. So it's great, it's crazy. And it's obviously hit a chord in America, and I mean, people really reacted to it. And if there's any atheists in here, I apologize for what I'm about to say, I guess. But I find it interesting. I have atheist friends, we have wonderful debates, and we part as friends. I don't mind. I'm not the type, I'm not like Hollywood, where I claim I have tolerance, but then if you don't agree with me, they don't have tolerance for you. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. So you say your side, you say my side, we might learn something, I don't know. But I see these atheists on Fox and CNN, and they're so angry. They're so pissed off. And they're angry that on the one hand I want to feel sorry for them, on the other hand I laugh at it, because why do you get so angry about something you don't believe in? What is the deal with that? I don't understand it. Why did they get the power to take nativity scenes down? Oh, it offends me. You don't believe in it. How does it offend you? Isn't that, I mean, seriously, isn't that weird? I don't get it. And yet, 90% of the people in all the polls I've seen, it's always around 90%, people believe in something. They believe there's a higher power than them. So you're offending 90% of the people by having those things taken down. And by the way, it's Christmas. It's not Happy Holidays. But that's just me. So atheists, I sort of apologize, but I don't. You shouldn't get, I don't believe in broccoli. I give you your right to believe in broccoli. Just don't get it.
Hercules seemed like a really fun series to make.
Yeah.
Do you have any good stories for that? Or even better, any good Bruce Campbell stories?
Well, I got great Bruce Campbell stories. Bruce probably was in like 20 episodes of Hercules. He actually, like myself, we both started directing on the series. That's how we got our directorial beginnings. There's a lot of good stories, but since you want me to bring up Bruce, I mean, my Bruce story is this. The first time Bruce directed, Bruce is a big Three Stooges fan, surprise. So the first time he directed, we had a first AD, assistant director named George Lyle. George was a British guy. And I've always loved the British sense of humor because it's also dry. I'm a big fan of Faulty Towers and Monty Python and stuff like that. Yeah, good stuff. And George did have a very sarcastic way about him, would probably rub people wrong the first time they meet him, but he grows on you very quickly. He ended up being a very dear friend, and he actually wrote a chapter in my book that I have, True Strength. I don't know if people had a chance to read that, but it's out there. Thank you. But on the very, very first scene with Bruce directing, we finished the scene, and Bruce goes, wah, 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 wah. And George Lyle looks at him and goes, that must be American for cut. But Bruce, I think he tried to make it fashionable to wear socks with sandals. Because that is his look. And hopefully he'll wear it when he wears his tuxedo when you guys see him tomorrow. But Bruce and I are sitting next to each other, so, but we keep in touch. I don't see him as often. They had a couple episodes of Burn Notice they wanted me to do over the years, and every time they contacted me was at the same time I was shooting a movie, so it was kind of a drag that way that I couldn't do it, because I would have loved to work with them again, and I like Burn Notice. It's a good show.
Okay, so my question is, what was your favorite stunts that you had to do over the years? And then my mom wants me to ask, what's your favorite movie? I don't know if that's the one you've been in or your just favorite movie in general.
Who's that person that? The favorite movie just that I did? Okay. My favorite stunts, that's hard, because I love doing the stunt scenes. I did most of my fight scenes on Hercules and Andromeda, certainly I did most of them. I was a jock, played football and basketball. I was always playing sports. I grew up in a family of 4 boys, and I was fighting over who gets the last bowl of Captain Crunch or whatever. And the thing that would freak me out, because we worked on it every single day. I mean, the fight scenes, we did 3 fights every episode. That was always part of the routine of Hercules. And the days we weren't shooting fights, the stunt guys were still on the set. So while they're setting up the next scene, I'd be rehearsing that fight. So every day we were doing the fight scenes. And I had great stunt guys. And these guys made me look like I was half God. I mean, they made me look like I was good, you know? But, and I looked at it that way. I looked at it like a sporting event when I did it. And that's what made it so much fun. So it's hard to like pinpoint one thing in particular. But I will talk about in season 2, at the end of season 2, we did a trilogy that introduced Xena. And I had to do a fight scene with Michael Hurst. And because bad Xena made Michael go against me, which I said, that's kind of a tough storyline, guys. But we did it anyway. And Michael and I ended up doing a fight scene together. Well, during the rehearsal of it, there's a move in there that I didn't like at all. I hated it. Because I'm spinning, doing a 360, when Michael's swinging these 2 swords at my head. So he's supposed to be up here, of course. And on the rehearsals, I could feel the wind. And I said, Peter Bell was a stunt choreographer. I said, I don't like that move. He goes, oh, Mike, it's a good move. It looks really nice. It's excellent. You'll love it. And Michael's going, I'm the New Zealand fencing champion. Mike, you got nothing to worry about, Very first take, right in the back of the head. Boom. I'm down here. Michael's supposed to be up here. And you watch it. You watch the scene. His eyes are closed. I woke up in the hospital. I was out. You watch it on the film. Luckily, it hit me in the flat side of the blade of the sword. I'd be dead. Because he hit me right in the back of the head, and I had 9 stitches, had a concussion. I mean, I was out. They had to rush me to the hospital. And he gives me the worst bottle of whiskey. And I said, dude, I don't even drink this. That part wasn't fun. But there's so many fight scenes where I got to memorize. I'm fighting 12 guys, and I've got to memorize 24 moves, and the stunt guys each have to memorize this too. And there was times you sit there, I don't care how much rehearsal you do, when they go, they're ready to shoot. Okay, we're ready. It's lit. It's ready to go. I'm standing here, and you hear, okay, we got speed. Camera's going. Okay, and action. And just as I said, I'm going, oh great, what's my first move? It just freaks you out. Once it starts to flow, then it's like a dance. I mean, it's just smooth and goes. So to get back to my favorite movie, I think. I love God's Undead, but I did another movie with that company called What If. So if you get a chance to see What If, check it out. It's on Netflix. It's a wonderful family movie. John Ratzenberger's in it. John was Cliff on Cheers, the postman on Cheers. He plays this really smart-ass curmudgeon angel. He comes down from heaven to show how much I've screwed up my life. Christy Swanson, the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer, plays my wife. And Debbie Ryan, for the kids out there, Disney kids, they know Debbie. Debbie plays my daughter in it. So I would check out What If. I think it's a good movie. But one of my favorite movies of all time would be, that's tough too, but I gotta go with Casablanca. So if you haven't seen Casablanca, check it out. That movie doesn't age at all. It's an awesome movie. And a local one shot up here, one of my favorite movies, Robert Redford, Jeremiah Johnson. Awesome movie. Awesome. Make a note. Yes.
I have 2 questions. Will you marry me? No, I'm just kidding. Mine's kind of the same as hers. Like, what was your favorite character to play?
Well, it's always got to go to Hercules because I had so much fun doing that show, and without that, I wouldn't have the career that I have now. And I love doing that character. I mean, I miss it. There are times, I mean, I'll watch episodes occasionally. My kids are 13, 10, and 8, so they will watch it now. And there's episodes I haven't seen in a long time. And it's weird because I remember every episode in its entirety. I remember every episode. Like, oh yeah, I remember this episode. But I'm sitting there and I'm going, that's me talking. But there's zero recall of remembering that particular scene. So it's just because I'm getting old. You know? What are you gonna do? You talk to my wife while I get married. Yes.
I actually have a comment and a question.
You're a little closer.
Okay, can you hear me now? Oh, good. Well, I can't see you, so I'm glad you can hear me.
We just want to see you bump your head against the microphone.
I've done worse. Done worse. So my comment, I just really wanted to thank you. I have great appreciation. I'm very grateful that you're willing to speak up with candor and integrity on issues that America should be aware of, as well as issues of faith. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm making them go a little riled up on Facebook, that's for sure. But you know, here's the problem. People don't want to hear the truth. And the truth has to be said. And we got to start, I think there was a tipping point in America. There was. You know, I think our forefathers are turning over in their graves of what's going on in our country, what we're doing to it. And I think, you know, I'm just a guy that speaks up. That's my opinion. Everybody's got one, right?
Truth is hard on the truth. So my question, I work in theater and I primarily build and create props. And I understand that you have your own collection of props from everything from maybe swords and towels from Camp Wanachuk. So I'm wondering, what makes a prop cool enough to take home, and how does it help you with your acting?
I think what you think is cool is different than everybody else, right, in a way? I mean, I'll look at a certain, like the Camp Wanachuk episodes we did on Hercules, the modern day episodes, which I loved. And I love words like that, you know, Camp Wanachuk. I mean, why not? You know, it's on a towel and it's just fun. So I took, and I didn't just steal, I asked, you know, and I said, I would love this prop or that prop. I've got some great stuff from Andromeda and Hercules both. I mean, I've got the original Force Lances I use. I've got all the costumes from, you know, well, Hercules is really one costume. Frickin' Xena, I got one new one every episode, you know. She's the girl, so, you know. But there was finally an episode, it was actually Michael Hurst's first time directing. It's called Fancy Free, which was a very funny episode. And I finally got to work something different. And Michael and I, we used to ad-lib a lot in the show. We would throw in little one-liners that, thank God you guys laughed. And the writers initially got mad, but then they said, you know what, just throw it in there. You guys, and they finally were going to give me a new outfit. And Michael and I did this little bit at the end of that, one of the scenes that were, he says in his Widow Twanky voice. The Widow Twanky thing was weird. That was Michael's mother. And he used to do that on stage. That was something we saw him do it on stage, and we're gonna put that on Hercules. And it was so weird to try to take direction from him wearing this blue wig with fake boobs. And he's getting serious with me in the scene, and I was look at him and just start laughing. But there's a scene where he says, as the Widow Twanky, that, you know, for the ballroom dancing, we have to wear something different. And I say, yeah, but I wear this all the time. And he says, I know, and I'm sick of it. So it was fun. They made it fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your turn.
I was wondering what your favorite memory of Kevin Smith is.
Kevin Smith, my favorite memory. Kevin Smith, I actually have a photo down on my table of Kevin and I and Michael. It was the very last day of filming after 7 years. And for those of you who don't know, Kevin Smith played Ares and he passed away about 2 years after we finished the series. Kevin was a great friend and a great foil for Hercules. We had such a great time together. He was my golf buddy. He was a crappy golfer. You know, and I'm a pretty decent golfer, but I called him Monkey Boy because he was always in the woods. He never hit the fairway at all. And he would get so mad. He would break clubs. He would hit bad shot. He'd get down and do 40 push-ups. You know, so, and it was so funny watching him just do this stuff. He would just go absolutely crazy. And he was just a wonderful, classy guy. Unfortunately, it was a horrible accident on a movie set in China. And you know, he fought real hard for 10 days, and he didn't make it. But he left 3 boys behind, and I was down in New Zealand a few years ago, and I saw his oldest, who's now like 21. He's like 6'5", you know, big kid, big strong kid. I know Kev would be very proud of him, and I'm sure he is. But Kev was a great guy, and the first time he was on the show, he played my half brother before he became Aries. And when he saw the episode, he hated the fact that he looked so fat. And he just started hitting the gym. He started asking me what I was doing, and dude, I'm 2 hours a day, every day, after a 14-hour day. That was my schedule for all the time I was down there. But, so trust me, if you start becoming a regular on this, your ego's gonna let you work out harder. You're gonna want to. But, great guy. He used to do theater sports. Theater sports is all improv. It's like Whose Line Is It Anyway that Wayne Brady and those other guys do. It was just such a funny show. But he was a great guy, and he's truly missed. He's a good man.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for coming back and joining us here in Salt Lake. It was great meeting you last year. So I really enjoyed your book, True Strength. I think one of the funniest lines in it was when you mentioned how much you enjoyed moving into the second season of Hercules because you no longer had to wear hair extensions.
Yes.
But I have a family member who also suffered from some minor head trauma a number of years ago and still deals with issues from that. And I was just wondering, with the writing of that book, how was it to write that all down and kind of relive what you had gone through for those years?
You know, my wife was very instrumental in that book as well, in getting it done. She just said, you've got a story to tell. For those who don't know, at the end of season 5 on Hercules, I was coming back to shoot a movie. I suffered 3 strokes. I had an aneurysm in my left subclavicle, and the book sort of outlines that whole thing. But you know, you read the book. It's about triumph over tragedy.
It's helpful.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of great stories in there, anecdotal stories and things like this, and just deal with bad stuff. But I'll tell you, it wasn't as tough going through chapter and chapter as it was when I did the audiobook. To read it straight through over 2 days, being in the soundstage, that made it more real and brought me back to that time, and that was a brutal time. It was 3 years to fully recover. And I was lucky. I mean, 2 strokes. I say I'm lucky. 3 strokes. I was lucky. 2 strokes went to my balance center, 1 to my vision. I still had 10% loss in both eyes. But the balance issues were brutal. And, you know, playing a guy, I was in my 30s, I was in better shape than most athletes in their 20s. I mean, I was in great shape. And all of a sudden, not to be able to be a guy that can walk straight line. And it was tough, physically, psychologically. I went through a lot of different things that you saw in the book. So that was the hardest part, was just sort of reading that and exposing myself to the world to say, this is what happened to me. But it's been amazing. I've been speaking at churches, at hospitals. I spoke in front of 1,600 neurologists about a year and a half ago down in San Diego. And I always tell doctors when I speak there, I go, there's a reason what they call what you guys do a practice. You guys don't know everything. Because they didn't give me a huge lot. I mean, they said 3 to 8 months, whatever you're feeling, that's it, you have to live with the rest of your life. Well, after 8 months, after a year, I wasn't doing too good. So I think a lot of it was just pushing through my faith, strong will. I'm just a very strong-willed person. And, you know, I'm lucky to be here, but I've had people that not only stroke survivors, but cancer survivors, heart attack survivors, car crash survivors say the book has motivated them and pushed them to get past their insecurities, their fear, their anger. And also, I tell people all the time, don't let anybody, especially yourself, set your limitations in life, because we do that to ourselves. I mean, FDR had it right when he said the only thing to fear is fear itself, because we hold ourselves back from the potential that we all could be. And I'm telling you right now, don't do that, because you can really, you reach for the stars, seriously. As corny as that is, there's a lot of truth to it, so.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
My question is about your modeling career. I was reading you were a model for about 3 years. And I'm wondering how you made that transition into...
A lot of underwear modeling, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm wondering the similarities between that industry and acting, and how you got into acting, and then how you kept your ideals and your faith and all of that in perspective with these industries.
Here's the reality about that modeling world, okay? I double majored in marketing and advertising. I minored in drama. I want to be an actor since I was 11 years old. And that's always been my dream and my goal. My mistake, or blessing, was I was dating a model when I was in college. And she'd been modeling since a young age. And she actually talked me into going to Europe with her when I finished college. She said, why don't you just come out there, you know, check it out, spend the summer, whatever. And so I went out there, and 3 months turned into 3.5 years. I lived in Milan, I lived in Paris, lived in Munich, lived in Zurich, lived in London. I mean, it was an amazing experience, and I have no regrets. I know my parents were like going, "What are you doing?" You know, it's like, I thought this was 3 months, and you're moving to LA. But it was a great sidetrack to my life, and I finally got to the point though after that, I was like, okay, I'm done with this. It was great, made some nice money, got to travel, got to see, I got to ride a camel around the pyramids in Giza, guys. I took a boat down the Nile, down to Luxor, and walked through the Valley of the Kings and Queens. I had some really cool trips. And it was an amazing experience to do, but I finally just said, I got to go and do, follow my dream and do what I wanted to do. And but it was a learning experience, and it made me grow up. To go into other countries that don't speak English really, because the French forget about it. They don't even like themselves. So it's like, but it was a great experience to go and learn and sit there. Okay, how am I going to get around here? Because I lived there. 6 months in Paris, 8 months in Milan, a year and a half in Munich. So I was living there, I was amongst the people. But it's funny because I'm Scandinavian, I'm Norwegian, but I guess I look German, because Germans are big people, they're big people. And I could be in a restaurant or walking the street and a tourist from America would stop me and try to speak in broken German. I always got a kick out of it. Well, you know what we do? We speak loud, we speak loud English, they'll understand better. We're looking for Olympia Stadium, I look at them and go, yeah, where do you want to go? Oh, you're very good. But it was just, I got a kick out of doing that stuff. It was fun. But it was a great experience, and I loved it. And you know what? If you get a chance to go to Europe, go to New Zealand. New Zealand's amazing. New Zealand's amazing. We were there way before Lord of the Rings was. So, Weta Group started with me first. Richard Taylor, his office was as big as his couch when they started with us. Yes.
Okay, I got 2 questions. The first one is a part of the story that you're talking about previously. You said that you got your head hit in the back of with the sword.
Sword, yeah.
Didn't somebody try to use that, or one of the producers, or somebody tried to use that, or joked about it, or something? I think I remember.
Oh, Rob Tappert loved it. He loved playing it over and over again. I think they put it on like a gag reel. Like, oh, it's so funny, Rob. Smacks in the back of the head. Michael Hurst never lived it down, trust me.
Okay, the second question was, did you have any incidents while doing something with Andromeda, or no?
What do you mean incidents?
Did you ever get hurt during Andromeda doing a stunt?
No, well, you always got bumps and bruises. I did a movie called Call the Conqueror, and we did fight scenes on that thing with swords. My fingers got so I just beat up and just, swords, cuts everywhere. It's crazy, but...
Not as bad as the one on the back of the head?
No, nothing last night. The one thing I remember, there was a scene on Andromeda where it was season 1, and I had to wear this full battle gear. The Magog had boarded our ship, and then we had the lights flashing and all this kind of stuff going on. And they couldn't there was something wrong with one of the cameras. They couldn't get it working properly. And it was a really hot summer day up there. And this outfit was just, it's like some of the outfits people are walking around here, they're just hot as hell wearing these things. And it got to a point, I said, this is ridiculous. So I grabbed a little box, and I sat down, and I pulled the pants down, because the whole thing was me entering, the door was supposed to slide open, this blue light and smoke behind me, it was just silhouetted. And I grabbed the newspaper, and I sat like this. So they finally said, and action, the door opened up, I'm like this, and can a guy get privacy around here anywhere, So,
wasn't that also in one of the outtakes? I think I remember seeing that.
We did, yeah, I was on the blooper reel, I'm pretty sure. We did stuff like that. We did stuff like that all the time. It was just fun. Gordon Woolvet, who played Harper on the show, is the northern hemisphere of the southern hemisphere of Michael Hurst. I swear they're twin sons of different mothers. They're both like Jack Russells, just jumping around my big dog. It was so funny. They're great guys. Yes, sir.
Yes. Just want to say that love you and Hercules. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but great act.
It's on Netflix. You can watch it all the time. It's on Hub. It's on Encore Cable.
All over.
It's everywhere.
I just finished a Star Trek marathon, which was a great segue into Andromeda. And based on that, I had a kind of a two-pronged question. After watching Star Trek and then watching you in Andromeda, how was it, in relation to the girls, how was it being the Captain Kirk of the Andromeda universe? And being a producer have anything to do with that?
It's interesting that I know Bill pretty well. I got to know Bill pretty well through this whole con world all these years and stuff, and he's a great guy. The guy in his 80s has more energy than anybody. It's amazing. And the first season ended, and I did a convention in Tulsa, and it was huge. I mean, the number of people was huge. I mean, it was like 2,000 people in the Q&A. It was just packed. And somebody stood up and said, you know, in season 1 of Star Trek, Captain Kirk kissed 11 women. You, in season 1, only kissed 3. So I told the writers to step it up a little bit. Said, you know, because on Hercules, I think I kissed like 70 someone or something. You know? But yeah, it was funny that people actually keep tabs and stuff like that. There was one guy, so I said, don't get too technical on me, seriously, just don't. This guy shows up and he had a book like this thick, and he starts paging through, and he goes, in episode 78 of Andromeda, he starts getting real technical about the ship and about this and that, and my eyes just glazed over. And I let him talk for his 5-minute question, and I just finally went, blue. I said, did you ask me my favorite color? I'm sorry. I mean, because it's like a factory. I mean, once I finish the scene, gone. I'm on to the next scene. You know, it becomes too much. Is that the invisible man over there? Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
One of the first times I remember seeing you was on an episode of Murder, She Wrote with Angela Lansbury.
Murder, She Wrote. I did Murder, She Wrote. And
I later saw you and I said, I've seen him somewhere before, and I had to go back and when you did Hercules, I'm going, there was so much difference between. How was it working with Angela? And
did you see that recently?
They've been replaying.
My mom is a huge fan of Angela Lansbury. I mean, well, the career she's had has been phenomenal. She's still going on stage. She just finished.
She came out here to Utah.
She just did a play for like 5 months or something down in Melbourne recently, down there as well. It was interesting because she invited me, her and her husband invited me into her trailer for lunch. It's like the 3rd day on set. And so I went there at lunch, and I thought, oh cool, got to meet her. And I walked out, and the whole crew's like going, you were in her trailer? I'm like, yeah? I said, she never invites anybody in her trailer. And the reason was, I found the next day, she wanted to vet me out because she wanted me to get set up with her niece. True story. But it's interesting because, you know, she did that show forever. She's done everything, and she said, 5 o'clock, I'm done. 5 o'clock, I'm done. And the director that I worked with on that episode was his first time ever directing, and they told him, look, Angela wraps at 5, she's out. So I had a big scene coming up with her. It's 5:05. I walk on set. He goes, where's Angela? And they go, well, she's gone. And so I did the scene without her. They filmed her the next day with me doing the offline cameras over my shoulder. But I do the whole scene with just one of the assistants reading out the script. You know? But what Angela does is she doesn't need them, but she doesn't want to spend the time anymore in terms of memorizing them. And she's still doing plays in her 80s, so she obviously memorized the lines. But this was back in '92, I think, and she has cue cards. So when you watch the show, watch it. She's very good at it. She'll look at you just over your shoulder, and she'll go, well, maybe if we went over here. And she's just very good at using the cue cards. And Anthony Quinn did that, because I got to work, this was cool. I worked a whole year with Anthony Quinn on Hercules. He played Zeus the very first year. We did those 5 2-hour movies. Oh, Anthony Quinn was so cool. His 100th birthday celebration is coming up next year. They're a big thing from in New York, so which I hope I can make it out for. But he was 78 years old at the time. He passed away at 86. And he called me in his camper every day, and he would want to do the, rehearsal of it. He didn't care about going on set. He wanted to rehearse. And he would take stuff out. I'm not saying this crap. And I'm a script guy. I mean, I'll change the script, but the script will have my final notes before we start filming. But he's like taking stuff out. And he says, I'm going to say something like this, and you'll think of something, won't you, honey? You know? I mean, talk about making you listen and being on the set. But I learned a lot from him. I learned so much from him. And I got to tell a story. We went to dinner almost every Saturday night together for the year that he was there. and it was called Antoine's. It was an Italian restaurant in Parnell, which is a suburb of Auckland. Beautiful, beautiful restaurant. And it was a renovated house, and the rooms are just, you only have 2 or 3 tables in each room. You have to knock on the door. Is that the light going up? Is that last call? Is that what that is? 5 minutes? Is that what I got? You're giving me a Bulgarian 5 because you're Eastern European. It doesn't like my performance. Anyway. So we're sitting at the tables, myself and Anthony sitting across from me, his wife Yolanda's there, and Eric Grundeman, the American producer, was the only one with me down there the whole time I was down there. He looks at Yolanda and he says, Yolanda, go to bed. He goes, go to the bathroom. She goes, so I don't have to go to the bathroom. She says, go to the bathroom. He's like, you want to talk about the girls. You know you want to talk about the girls. She gets up, she's mumbling the whole way down the hallway. Just, well, it's girls, I know it's just girls, you want to talk about girls. And she's just walking and walking, he's watching. He reaches across the table and grabs my hand. He says, sweetheart, he called everybody sweetheart. What can you tell me about this thing they call the G-spot? I said, Mr. Quinn, you got 15 kids. You've been there. True story. That book, that's actually in my book. Yes.
So Netflix is becoming a real powerhouse. They get just as much Emmys as all the other networks, and they're not even really a network. Are there any projects that you want to try to use Netflix as the medium for?
I have another series that we're promoting right now. It's a faith-based series that we want to get out there. And you look at Highway to Heaven, Seventh Heaven, Touched by an Angel that was shot here. All those shows went 8, 9, 10 years. Touched by an Angel was the last one I think that was on the air, but it's been like 10, 12 years since those shows have been on the air. There's an audience out there. You look at God's Not Dead, there's an audience out there that wants this. The show that we have is actually created by my wife, and it's much more harder edged. So Netflix would fit in it with Netflix. It's more like Punched by an Angel. So, hey, Jesus beat the crap out of people in the temple, didn't he? I mean, he threw people around, So, we're hoping, we've been bringing that around to people. Showtime, we brought it to USA, so we're shopping that right now too. So I'm hoping that gets picked up because I think you guys would like it. It's a pretty cool bit, but Netflix is right. I mean, House of Cards, pretty intense show. There's some good shows they put out there. What do you got? One to go? One last question?
Okay. On Hercules, with all those beautiful women in the cast, do you have a favorite that you work with?
My wife may be here, so it was my wife, Sam. It's interesting because they did. Every 2 weeks they sent down a very pretty woman for me to work with. It was a great dating service. I couldn't complain. And I was a single guy, and I met my wife in season 4, I believe it was, halfway through season 4, and it's the first time I've ever forgotten my lines, because I'm pretty good at doing my lines. I know my lines, I hit my marks. And the very first scene with her, I was like, and she's like, what's wrong with this guy? And the very first scene, I had to kiss her. Because a lot of times I write those things in. It was the last scene of the whole thing, and we shot the very first night of that episode. And they do that because just in case you hate each other at the end of the 2 weeks, they got that part out of the way. And so I walked over to her chair and I said, so we should maybe rehearse this kissing thing, what do you think? And she says, yeah, maybe we should. She goes, Annie's our makeup artist, Australian makeup artist. She goes, yes, love. She goes, do you have any mints? She goes, oh yes, I got mints. And she got 800 different mints and she runs over. She goes, no, it's not for me, it's for Kevin. And I said, all right, she's all right. So, I dish it and I can take it. And I thought that was pretty good. But anyway, I guess they want me to be done here. But thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. I think I'm heading back to the table now, so I hope to see the table. And God bless, guys. Take care. Thank you.